Kia ora, good evening. Major funders of the Auckland to Bluff yacht race say they will wait for a new business plan before making decisions around future funding of the postponed event.
It was announced yesterday the inaugural A to B race, scheduled for February 2014, has been postponed and may not happen until 2015. Race promoter Murray Francis says the event had not attracted the expected number of entries, with yachties saying there was not enough time to prepare for the race. Invercargill City Council had committed $280,000 and Mayor Tim Shadbolt says Council will wait for a new business plan before making any decisions. He was unsure if and what Council had spent on the event to date. Council Chief Executive Richard King could not be contacted for comment. Government was to contribute $440,000, with the Ministry of Business, Innovation and Employment saying it too will consider its position on funding after race organisers have completed a business plan. An announcement on the future of the event is expected in early 2014.
The future of Invercargill City Gallery and the Southland Art Society is under threat due to financial pressure, and its 110 members have been given just 1 week to decide the fate of the gallery and its only paid staff member. A recent change in accounting policy makes the gallery's operation appear infeasible due to financial pressure. Although income from community funders, members' fees and paid exhibitions remain similar to previous years. The Society's financial situation will be made public at a special general meeting tomorrow at 2 p.m, when the committee will propose the Southland Art Society close the City Gallery and terminate the employment of the gallery coordinator. It's expected any accounting misinterpretations will be clarified at the meeting. The Southland Art Society is over 50 years old. Last summer's drought has hit stock numbers, with the conditions affecting the sheep and beef industries. That's according to the Beef and Lamb New Zealand Economic Service annual stock number survey. Both sheep and cattle numbers fell, down 1% and 1.3% respectively, but it was the lamb crop that was affected most, with an expected 8.5% drop in lamb exports forecast. In the Deep South, breeding ewe numbers fell more than 2%, partly due to continued dairy expansion and grazing. Beef cattle numbers in Southland increased strongly, up 4.6%. The Ministry of Education has been holding workshops throughout New Zealand with a view to lifting NCEA outcomes for young New Zealanders. Educationalists from around the region attended the workshop, which aims to increase the number of students aged 18 with NCEA Level 2 or equivalent to 85% by 2017. Currently, 74% of the region's 18-year-olds have attained Level 2. I spoke to Ministry official Tony Turnock earlier today.
The purpose of the workshops is twofold. So the first main reason is to talk about public achievement information. So that's about sharing data, education data with local regions, local communities, and really sort of sparking some interest and some conversation with people about, okay, so what's the data telling us? There's a lot to celebrate. You know, there's been a lot of success in different regions, and it's the first time really the Ministry has been able to put all the data together into one sort of cohesive sort of form for people to be able to interrogate and to look at. It'd be fair to say that we've had the data before, but it's been in different places and people have had to hunt for it. So this is the first real effort that we've made to bring it together into a sense about how the pipeline is actually working for the young people in a particular region. So that's from early childhood all the way through to 18 plus.
And how does Southland rate nationally?
Look, Southland, we're not into going around and rating how different regions are going.
Comparatively,
that's not our purpose. But what we do have quite clear benchmarks, if you like, that are sort of set now, that have been set by government. So the better public service targets. And so, for example, in early childhood, we want 98% of all young people participating in early childhood by 2016. At NCA Level 2, we want 85%. We want to see 85% of 18-year-olds by 2017 attaining NCA Level 2. And when we set that goal, that goal is about equitable outcomes for all learners. So that's about ensuring that we're getting not just all our leavers, but that our Māori leavers and our Pacifica leavers are also leaving with NCA level 2.
What are our statistics down here in Southland? We've got a good participation in early childhood education.
Yeah, the early childhood participation rate is above the target that's been set, so that's fantastic. Great effort there. NCA level 2 is tracking at about 74%, just around there. So that's
about 11 points lower than the target.
Yeah, it's about 10.9%. So 2017 is the place where we're going to put that marker in. But I suppose the message here is that this is not some sort of race, and it's not an end point. This is a target that has been set that is stretchy. It is going to stretch us in terms of doing that. But whether or not we get to the target, the more important thing is that are we thinking differently about reaching all of the learners that are sitting in front of us, and what are we doing to ensure that they've got a sense about that coherence and those pathways that we talked about before.
Stay with us after the break. What changes to legislation could mean for firefighters. Welcome back. A recent study by Otago University shows a quarter of New Zealanders aged between 21 to 30 have a problem with alcohol. More than 5% of this age group meet the clinical criteria for alcohol addiction, and the study shows this group are 3 times more likely to be the victim of assault, to commit burglaries or vandalism. While those classed as having some problem with alcohol are 3 times more likely to contemplate suicide or commit a violent crime. Assault in extended adolescence due to adults having children later could be having an impact on people in their 20s with drinking problems. The New Zealand Fire Service legislation is being overhauled to reflect the demands of the 21st century. Current legislation from the 1970s no longer matches the operational reality. The Fire Service was established to fight fires and isn't mandated to perform non-fire functions, but around a third of workload relates to non-fire incidents, including motor vehicle accidents, hazardous substances and natural disasters. The new legislation due to come into effect at the end of the year will ensure firefighters are protected from liability when attending non-fire call-outs.
We are now going to a lot more different types of events. The extrication equipment for cutting people out of cars, that has changed significantly just in the last 25 years, let alone the last 40. So there's more cars on the road. The cars are built a lot stronger, so it means we have to do more to get people out of them. They are safer, but it also means they're quite hard for us to get into. So that's an example. The hazardous substances, the emergencies that we go to, that's been a huge change. We're just trying to keep the legislation, keep it up with the times.
As far as numbers, how many call-outs are you doing here on an annual basis that are not directly fires?
Well, statistically, it's about a third. So that can be 250 to 400 responses just for the Invercargill Brigade every year. And so if you do that nationally, that's a third of all our calls to non-fire related emergencies. That's a huge amount.
Tourists spent $110 million in Fiordland in the year ending March 2012, according to figures from Ministry of Business, Innovation and Employment. $60 million of that expenditure came from international visitors, while the remainder came from domestic tourists. In the Southland region, domestic visitors spent $200 million in the same period. Of that, 43% was from Southlanders travelling in their own region, and 22% was from Otago visitors. International visitors spent more than a quarter of their money on accommodation, just under a quarter on passenger transport, and 13% on food and beverages. National MP Kanwaljit Singh Bakshi visited Invercargill today. Mr Bakshi is the first New Zealand MP to have been born in India. The Auckland List MP is full of praise for the Southern Institute of Technology and the high standard of education visiting Indian students are getting. I caught up with Mr Bakshi earlier today.
I have met a lot of students who have moved from Invercargill to Auckland, who have studied at SIT, and they had a very good experience over here. So I think SIT is contributing a lot to this economy, and wherever I can support, I will support them.
You see that just growing, that potential, that Indian students do like it down here and that they will come in bigger numbers?
Oh yes, if you talk about the quality of education, they are getting very good value for their money, and they are very happy. The only thing they miss is that the population is too low. They sometimes feel a bit lonely. There is no temple over here, but I have heard that they meet from time to time, do their religious rituals. They get together on the events and celebrate Diwali and celebrate other religious programs also. So they are getting into the system, even though they are far away from the main cultural centers in New Zealand. But otherwise, they are very happy with the education standards.
And that's it from news. Coming up in sport, more from the recent Southland boxing champs. We'll leave you now with the week that was. Good night.